The final day of competition in the National Hot Rod Association National Drag Racing Championships. Raceway Park. If you want to be part of the action, you want to go early. If you are part of the action, you have to go early. And the man driving this truck is very much part of the action. His name is Don Prudhomme. The national dragster considered him a prime favorite to win the Nationals in AA fuel competition for a second successive time. A young man, but still a veteran. He's been in the sport a long time. He's learned his trade the hard way. He's a favorite.
I think at this time of morning you wouldn't be anybody on the road, right?
I couldn't even believe it when I got up there. When he called sick.
Yeah. Another morning, right? We got 2 more to go when we go home, right?
Is that the plan?
That's the plan. Of course, the main thing's that clutch. When we get that clutch and tire combination together, we got it made. You go up to the line in the last round and try it like that, and that baby smokes and tires to your history, right? They're pretty good guys, but you know, when you get to a meet like this, you don't really have any friends, you know. You can't. Do you believe there's traffic?
Do you have any real plans on how you're going to run the meet?
Full bore all the way. You have to. If you try and back off and save it for the last round, somebody will get you. Or grenade it against you or something, you know. Just plan on, after 5 runs, the engine will be junk, but the last run, it'll still be there.
As you could tell by Don Prudhomme's comments and reflections earlier this morning when these pictures were taken, there would be little time for quietness at the track. When he arrived, these young fans were waiting, and Don Prudhomme always takes time to visit with those who back him from the stands, and particularly the young people.
Who was it first, huh?
He recognizes his sport for what it is. It is more than just acceleration down a quarter-mile strip, a test of speed. It's also a test of men.
Okay.
On this day, from here on, there will be very little time for personal reflection.
Huh?
Don Prudhomme has won it twice now, and should he win, he will join Garlitz as a 3-time national champion.
The National Hot Rod Association Nationals offering more than $300,000 in total posted prize money. The crowd came early.
1,000+ entries to this national championship, and we're down now to just about a couple of hundred, and everything's riding on the action today.
The transformation of the man into a fantasy-like figure as he pulls on the fireproof clothing, the mask, the helmet, wedging the body into the steel cage to protect himself should there be trouble somewhere down that quarter-mile strip. The nickname Snake that Don Prudhomme wears is not the prettiest around, but it symbolizes his attitude once he sits at the starting line for a drag race. Toughness, quickness. And as they are pushed for that giddy little ride into the staging area, each man withdraws unto himself, knowing full well he's got to run his own race, that you really can't afford to race the other man. From the moment you leave that starting line until you flash over the finish line, it's often less than 7 seconds. It'll be Prudhomme against Danny Angayas, a pair of Californians. They burn their tires in the staging area to heat them up, make them as sticky as possible, to get every bit of the traction they can using a special solution. But when they release the 1,500 horsepower engines onto those tires, they want them to stick, to grab, to drive, and send them winging down the quarter-mile straight. Lynn Prudhomme, part of the crew as she watches her husband Don move up to the starting line. Prudhomme in the near lane, Danny Angayas in the far lane, and they are ready. An incredible blast of power as Don Prudhomme defeats Danny Ungass, the kind of action that is marking the 16th annual National Hot Rod Association, staging one of the most explosive, one of the most record-setting events in the history of drag racing. I'm Keith Jackson, and today on ABC's Wide World of Sports, I think that you'll just stand in awe at some of the mechanical and personal performances by some of the top drag racing drivers in the world. And something new at the National Drags at Raceway Park, motorcycles for the first time, running in a special category, $1,500 prize money. In the competition we're about to see, James Chrysler, Minneapolis, Minnesota, on a Harley-Davidson, and from Great Britain, Dennis Norman. Their speeds will be more than 135 to 140 miles an hour. In the far lane, James Chrysler gets off the line with a great hole shot, pulls away to win by a wide margin over Dennis Norman of Great Britain. And Chrysler broke 10 seconds, 9.7 seconds, better than 137 miles an hour on motorcycles, mind you, over the quarter-mile drag strip. The NHRA Nationals will continue in just a moment as we'll have a look at the funny car quarterfinals. These are the funny cars. In effect, they are short version AA fuel dragsters with plastic bodies, and Don Prudhomme is everywhere today. He owns this car. It'll be driven by Jay Howell, and here Don turns crew member as he pours the solution down for Howell to burn in his tires, heat them up, and move into the starting line area. The funny car is capable of going over 200 miles an hour. It's very light. The bodies are made of plastic. Don Shoemaker has been one of the hot fellows all across the country, match racing and in the national competition as well throughout this year. Shoemaker's car is a Barracuda, and so is the car that Howell will be driving, a Barracuda. And Shoemaker has been very, very steady in all of the competition leading up to the funny car quarterfinals. Buster Couch is the starter. Watch him explode off that starting line. I mean, they leap out of there. Smoking off the line, and Shoemaker at the top end pulls away to a comfortable win, 7.07 seconds, elapsed time better than 210 miles an hour for the winner, Shoemaker. So Don Prudhomme, himself a winner just moments ago, watches his Barracuda lose in the funny car quarterfinals. In case you wonder why these are called funny cars, the reason for that's very simple. A few years ago, when they first came on the scene as an experimental class, the public address announcers called them a funny car. The name stuck. No one's come up with a better one yet. Now we see Bruce Larson and Bobby Wood. That's Bobby Wood, covered up by the smoke as he heats up his tires in a Chevy 2, a red one, really steaming things up. That Chevy 2 has Chrysler power, incidentally. He'll be running in the near lane, and Bruce Larson in the Camaro will be in the far lane. They're ready to go. And it's Larson in the far lane, the winner, 7.16 seconds, 206 miles an hour. Bobby Wood, 7.22 seconds elapsed time. A close loser. Bruce Larson goes to the semifinals in the funny cars. Right now, we're going to have a look at the pro stockers. Now, visually, these may look very much like the cars you've just seen, but they are quite different. For one thing, the pro stocker is required to keep the steel shell that came when the car rolled out of the factory. It must not be changed. The steel shell must remain, and there is a minimum weight of 2,700 pounds. They are allowed to make certain lightweight modifications, but they must stay above that weight minimum. They are hot, but not as hot as the funny car. Herb McCandless, right here in the near lane in the Soxon Martin entry, against Bob Yowell. McCandless in the Duster defeats Bob Yowell in the Plymouth in the far lane, and the time for McCandless, 10.02 seconds. For Yowell, 10.14 seconds. Again, very close. This is how close. McCandless won it right at the finish line. Meantime, back in the pits, let's spend a moment with Don Prudhomme and his wife, Lynn.
I hope so.
Huh?
I hope so. 2 years in a row.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, Dave. We'll have to see.
Pardon me?
I say we'll have to see. We just heard a piston over there a little while ago. We're changing it right now.
Shouldn't be walking around.
Well, I got my boys doing it.
Top gas. The only difference, fundamental difference between this machine and the AA fuel dragster we saw a few minutes ago, this one runs on pumped gasoline. The fuel dragster runs on a mixture of nitromethane and alcohol. A big twin Chrysler powerhouse moving to the staging area. Ray Moats is the driver. Jerry Glynn in the single-engine machine. Been a handful of twin-engine gas dragsters running here this week at the Nationals, and all of them have performed very well. They give away weight, quickness, to get more power. Looks like Moats may have blown an engine. I think he may have won the race, too, and Moats is out of control. How about that for a piece of driving? He doesn't have much room in which to maneuver. Obviously, he's cooked an engine, but a great piece of work by Ray Moats to keep his dragster under control, and he brings it safely to a stop at the end of the quarter-mile run. Well, I guess if you're going to let it all hang out, this is the place, and that's how close the finish was. 7.25 seconds for Moats, the winner. Glenn, 7.27 seconds. He was the loser. So Moats is still in it, despite the fact he has blown an engine. You're watching the NHRA Nationals on ABC's Wide World of Sports from Raceway Park, Indianapolis, Indiana. This is Keith Jackson, and we continue our coverage of the Top Gas quarterfinals. Running in the near lane will be Roger Rowe. In the far lane, Chevy-powered Richie Schott. Top Gas quarterfinals. Both men have been very quick so far in their competition. Schott running with Chevy power, hoping to get a little more reliability than he has had in the past, perhaps giving away a little horsepower to get that reliability, but that does not necessarily follow because the traction is so tremendous here at Raceway Park. Shutting down at the middle of the strip, and Roger Rowe runs away to win in an elapsed time of 7.42 seconds. 7.42, and he got some kind of a start. He was so far out in front halfway down the strip, I think that Richie Schott realized there was no way he was going to catch him. And I think it's worth taking another look at what the drag racers call a hole shot. That's when the man gets off so quick, like that, he's gone. Almost impossible to catch him. All right, now we go into the Top Fuel quarterfinals. And here comes Big Daddy Don Garlett. He's won this event 3 times. He's won 5 national championships. He'll be running against Bob Ibbott. Don Garlett, I'm sure most of you know, sustained a severe injury to a foot, lost part of it in an accident in California. Here he is, one of the great innovators, one of drag racing's top figures. Don Garlett, back in the middle of it. If you want to see a pro start, watch this one.
Number 2.
A great start by Garlett. He beat his man off the line. Shuts down halfway through, wins easy. 7.07 seconds for Garlett in beating Bob Ibbott. Garlett will go to the semifinals, beating the winner of the Jim Nickel-Marshall Love match, which is upcoming. He has won this event 3 times, 67, 68, back-to-back, and that's the feat that Don Prudhomme would like to duplicate. And meantime, in the pits, the tension is really growing where Don Prudhomme is at work.
Quarterfinals, Don Prudhomme, the same thing over and over. On goes the safety equipment. The routine remains pretty much the same. How about the car? Has it been routine with it?
Well, everything's going pretty good so far. We just ran a 643. There's a low AT, and as long as the engine can stand up, we can win the meet. I don't know, though. We're gonna have to run awfully hard, though.
Competition requires hard running here this year, doesn't it?
Oh, it gets tougher and tougher every year. I'll tell you, it's just really hard to stay on top.
Getting so much out of an engine, demanding so much, diminishes the reliability factor, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The engine's fresh. When it comes into the race, it's good for about 5 runs, and it's dead.
As he turns to continue the work with his crew, readying himself for the upcoming semifinals. Again, I'll say the tension is reflected visibly. You can never be too ready when you're going to go streaking down a quarter-mile stretch of concrete at 225 or 30 miles an hour in less than 7 seconds. There's the wife, Lynn, right by his side. The crowds that sometimes have grown so thick around the working area that they've had to ask marshals to move them away. Back on the staging area, a key match between Marshall Love of Arlington, Texas, and Jim Nickel of Spring Valley, California. A couple of tested veterans who have been so close to tasting the glory of a national championship. And it's a big moment for both men. Jim Nickel will be in the near lane. Marshall Love in the far lane. Both have been under 7 seconds in their last 4 runs. It's Jim Nickel at the top end, 6.59 seconds, and both men release their chutes late, way down the strip, and look at them bounce around. And they use all of the run-out area. Nickel, 6.59 seconds, 227 plus miles an hour. Marshall Love in losing at a 6.62, 227.2 seconds. Wow, what a tough way to lose. We mentioned earlier they look like figures out of some fantasy, but every piece of equipment they wear is needed and necessary, and particularly the mask when those fumes come blasting back into their face. We'll see Don Prudhomme and Pete Robinson right after this timeout. The temperature is now risen to better than 90 degrees. A sultry, hot, sticky day. Sneaky Pete Robinson, Atlanta, Georgia, has heated his tires, and he moves up onto the starting line. This is a crafty, tough veteran. Burning his tires, and watch how they expand as they come out of the bleach box. Don Prudhomme comes into the near lane. One time they used just plain bleach. Now they've gone to some very sophisticated substances to increase the traction. The way the rubber is burned into this track here at Raceway Park at Indianapolis, they don't need a whole lot of help for traction. This is a big match in the Top Fuel quarterfinals. Robinson and Prudhomme. Shape just after the start. Eased off. Prudhomme wins it. Listen to the lap time. 6.45 seconds for Don Prudhomme. 208 miles an hour. Pete Robinson, 6.64 seconds. Elapsed time. His speed, about 207 miles an hour. So Don Prudhomme stays in it. And we'll be back for more later at Indianapolis. But right now, let's rejoin Jim McKay at Val d'Isère, France. Men's downhill skiing.
Thanks very much, Jim, and I wish we had some of that snow and cool air here at Indianapolis Raceway Park as we continue our coverage of the National Hot Rod Association Nationals. You're looking into the pits of Don Prudhomme. He is just moments away from his semifinal race against Brian Budd. They are putting the car back together, afraid to gamble that everything might not be just right. His wife, Lynn, everybody who is part of this group, who could help, who can help, has been pushed into service on a stifling hot afternoon.
We're going to try one more run with these
A cool, wet towel is mighty welcome.
Don't even.
They'll button the car up as fast as possible now, having made some changes in the engine. And just moments from now, Prudhomme will be wheeled onto the staging area for his semifinal match. Meantime, there is action at the staging lane. Jim Nichols moving into the near lane from Spring Valley, California. He's going against Don Garlits of Cessna, Florida. Garlits almost a living legend as far as the NHRA Nationals are concerned. A three-time winner. Jim Nichols has never won a big one, but he's been close, and he's had a good season. And it's strictly shootout time right now with Big Daddy. The winner here goes to the Top Fuel Finals. Garlits in the far lane, Nichols in the near lane. The big crowd all standing. And the red light is shining in Don Garlits' lane. You won't see that very often, but Don Garlits has drawn a red light. He left too soon. Perhaps it was the bite of the track, the incredible traction you get here at Raceway Park. Whatever, Don Garlits has been eliminated by a foul, and thus ends his comeback to racing after his severe accident. But he made it to the semifinals, and he is still tough. Jim Nichols is the winner, and we'll have more in a moment. All right, here we go with the last of the semifinal runs in the Top Fuel category. Jim Nichols has already won his way into the finals. The winner of this one between Don Prudhomme, moving up to burn his tires, against Brian Budd, who moves into the near lane. Brian Budd was the low qualifier, rolled off the truck a couple of days ago and turned in a 6.66 seconds. Elapsed time is better than 212 miles an hour, and nobody could beat him in the qualifying. And he has made his way to the semifinals. You would think at this juncture, however, Don Prudhomme might enjoy a psychological edge because Budd has not had the experience of Prudhomme nor the winning history. Very ticklish up on that starting line, and both men know it. Literally laden with fatigue. They have struggled, forced their way to this moment. And just a few seconds from now, it's going to be all over for one of them. Prudhomme in the far lane, Budd in the near lane. Red light on Brian Budd. Don Prudhomme is in the finals against Jim Nichols. Budd, realizing he had to get off quick, let it go too quick. He saw the red light himself and shut his equipment off and coasts on through the trap. And Don Prudhomme will be going against Jim Nichols for the Top Fuel Championship here at the Nationals. The Pro Stockers now will come wheeling around the corner. Arlen Banky of Akron, Ohio, in a Plymouth Duster, running against Herb McCandless of Burlington, North Carolina. He is in the Stockton Martin Duster right here. Both these men have been absolutely superb so far. Their starts have been impeccable. Their equipment is at a peak. This could be one of the quickest Pro Stock races you have ever seen. Arlen Banky won here in 1968 at the Nationals, winning the Super Stock Championship. But this Pro Stock category is a little hotter. Red, white, and blue is McCandless. Banky's on the far side. Pro Stock title on the line right now. They're shifting all the way through, and it is close. And it's McCandless the winner. 9.981 seconds. And hear this, Banky, 9.983 seconds, and both men get 138.03 miles an hour for their top speed. And let's take another look. The top speed is measured in the last 66 feet at the very end of the course, and you can see McCandless won it by the smallest of margins. You never been so happy in your life, Herb. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's the first big one for you, huh?
Yes, sir, in the pro stock, I'm really happy. I just don't know what to say.
Ronnie Stocks will be sitting down under that tree kind of green.
Yeah, he had some transmission trouble. It's just one of those things. I'd rather be lucky and fast a lot of times.
Really had to put the pressure on equipment this year, though, didn't you?
Yes, we really did. We really pushed the cars hard. This was the toughest field of cars I've ever seen.
Herb, you did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
So the young man from Burlington, North Carolina, Herb McCandless, wins his first major title at 27 years of age in the Sox and Martin Duster.
And now we move into...
Now the final run for the motorcycles, running for the first time at the NHRA Nationals. It'll be Boris Murray of Laverne, California, on a Triumph in the far lane, running against Larry Welch of Chevrolet, Maryland. He is on a Triumph in the near lane. Murray has the quicker time so far in the competition of the two at 9.49 seconds. Welch at 9.51. They'll put it out here right now. In the finals, Buster Couch taking a good look. This is something new for everybody who's been coming to the NHRA Nationals for years here at Indianapolis. Burning the tires halfway through the quarter mile, and it is Welch at the top end. Listen to this. 9.34 seconds for Larry Welch, 161 plus miles an hour. Boris Murray at 9.14, but Welch beating with a hole shot. We'll be back to talk with the top fuel finalists Jim Nickel and Don Prudhomme in a moment.
9.49.
Jim, you put it together yourself? You've come to the end of a long, hard week. What are you thinking right about now?
Well, I feel fortunate to get this far. It's been a heck of a good race all the way. Everybody's run good. It's been a terrific race. One of the best races I've ever been to, I guess.
Actually, been an incredible meet, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
What do you think it'll take to win?
Oh, I wouldn't even want to say.
Good luck, huh?
Yeah, take a lot of luck, that's for sure.
Most fellows say, I drive my own race. I'm running the clock, and then we'll see what happens to the other guy. Is that pretty much the way you go at it?
That's basically the way you have to feel about it. You know, Prudhomme's a very good runner and a heck of a good driver, so we'll just have to see what happens. That's all.
It takes a little of what you call gut toughness when you come up in this moment, doesn't it?
That and a little lady luck, yeah.
Jim, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Jim Nickel from Spring Valley, California, is certainly not an unknown factor. Prior to this meet, the national dragster in handicapping the field made particular note that he had been a consistent performer and been so close to winning one of the big ones. It also made note of the fact that he has been running some real hot stuff in his equipment, but he did come in as one of the listed favorites. Jim Nickel, to be reckoned with by Don Prudhomme.
Don, you happy as you go to the finals?
Oh, boy, I'm very happy. I want to do it 2 times in a row. That make me a 5-time national champion, and I'll tie it with Gartlett. Good luck to you. Thank you.
So the top fuel finalists are headed for the staging lane. We're not far away from the exciting climax to one of the most successful national meets ever for the NHRA here at Indianapolis. But right now, we're going to watch the top gas final. Jack Jones of San Diego, California, will be in the far lane. Roger Rowe of Los Angeles will be in the near lane. Jack Jones is also trying for a second successive title here at the Nationals. He won the top gas title last year. Victory here today could be worth right at $10,000 for the winner. Rowe and Jones, both veterans, both cool, both very quick off the line. This race will probably be won either on the start or somewhere in the middle. Neither man has had to really extend his equipment to win at the top end so far. Jones on the far side, and Roger Rowe on the near side, and the Christmas tree is lit. And it's Jack Jones with a great start, 7.41 seconds for the quarter-mile run for Jack Jones. The speed not a particular factor in this instance because Jones got such a great start that he was well out in front halfway down and zipped across to win his second successive top gas title here at Indianapolis Raceway Park in the Nationals. So there is jubilation in the San Diegans pits, and here comes the crew racing down pit road. There was a time when you could win this championship and go home with $1,000, but not anymore. Today there is 10 times that amount guaranteed. And here's the crew. Now we go to the bomb. The white car is Leroy Goldstein. He was the first man to run a funny under 7 seconds. And here at Raceway Park in this meet, he has had 4 runs in less than 7 seconds in his funny car. Don Shoemaker in this blue and white machine has been so consistent, it's remarkable. The question is, will raw power in the Ram Chargers machine with Leroy Goldstein be enough? Or will the consistency of Shoemaker pay off? This event worth about $11,000 for the winner. Remember, the funny cars run on fuel, nitromethane, and alcohol. Same kind of stuff the top fuelers fly on. Here they go. Leroy Goldstein lost traction. You saw that big puff of smoke? His tires were spinning, and it was that fraction of a second that let Shoemaker get out in front and win it. Shoemaker's having trouble with his chute, got tangled up, but he holds it under control. And he pulls off the track. He's got a fire. There's a fire inside Don Shoemaker's car. The body is plastic. Shoemaker's outfit in a hurry. Up goes the hood. The extinguisher's on, and here comes help for him. Don Shoemaker has won the funny car championship. He has an extinguisher inside, and obviously when he first saw the fire, he popped it. They were quick there to help him. Excuse me? All right. He's fine. Kind of hot?
Very. What let go? Well, we burned a couple of pistons, I'm sure, on the run. We blew some oil out of the breathers. Catches on fire on the headers, and then I hit the fire extinguishers.
Didn't hurt the climax, though. Victory's still sweet, isn't it?
That's for sure.
Incredible performance by the funny cars. There must have been moments when you wondered if you weren't kind of wandering around on the ragged edge during the whole meet.
We've been on the ragged edge the whole meet, I'm sure, all of us.
Well, you hung on, did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
7 seconds flat, 215 miles an hour for Don Shoemaker. The top fuel final, Prudhomme and Nichols, coming up.
They come around the turn, and the first one to the bleach box is Don the Snake Prudhomme.
This is it. This is the climax to all of the hard work, the frustration, the sleepless nights. The climactic moment for the NHRA Nationals, Don Prudhomme, the Snake from Granada Hills, California. Jim Nichols, experienced veteran from Spring Valley, California. The day started near 4 a.m. for both these men on this day. Steaming hot weather has given them both fatigue, bone tiredness. They're as high right now as they can possibly be for a golden moment in drag racing. The highest payoff ever for the top fuel dragsters. The biggest crowd in the history of the Nationals watching. The near lane, Don Prudhomme. The far lane, Jim Nickel. They are both staged. Nickel's off first.
Side by side.
Prudhomme. Oh, my God. That's Jim Nickel's car. Jim Nickel's car has literally been sawed in half. The front end of it has skidded all the way down to the runout area.
Let's go down.
Prudhomme braking heavily, his parachute behind him. But Nickel's car, cut in half, there is the driver's cage. It caromed at least 350 feet down the track and bounced over into the grass. Don Prudhomme climbing out of his car. He appears to be all right. It was Jim Nickel's car that came apart. Again, I would say that Don Prudhomme appeared to be all right. He is now climbing out of his fire suit.
I think I'm good. Oh my God, I seen that car go by me. I couldn't believe it. There's no back section on it or nothing. How bad is he? It's right on 8. I seen that car come by. The nose of the car went right in front of me. And then I thought, my God, there was no back section of the car, and I followed it right down here. I couldn't believe it. It had all the fire.
Don Prudhomme in his anguish right now, not at all concerned with the fact that he won his second successive championship. That's the front end of Jim Nickel's car that came all the way to the end of the runout area. And we understand that Jim Nickel was conscious when taken out of the roll cage and put in the ambulance, now on the way to the hospital. We'll be back to check on his condition and talk with Don Prudhomme in just a moment. The crowd is gathered around what's left of Jim Nickel's car, disintegrated in the final run for the Top Fuel Championship. The word from the hospital is that Jim Nickel will be at the victory banquet tonight. He'll be a little sore, but he's all right. That's marvelous news, incredible news, considering the extent of the accident. And here's the finish, how terribly close it was. Prudhomme winning by a yard. 3/100ths of a second at 231 miles an hour.
It won't matter. You look all right. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know you, like thousands of us, were shaken by what happened to Jim Nickel.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. I'll tell you, we were coming towards the lights, and he was right next to me. I didn't know who was going to win the race. And then I knew I was in the finish lights, and I was getting a little dust back on me, a little oil back on me. And I opened the chute, and I got my goggles down a little bit where I could see. And the next thing I know, his car was in front of mine. If my chute hadn't opened, I'd have hit him for sure. I hit what was remaining of his car.
Well, I know when you got out of the car, you said, I'm going to quit. That's a tough thing for a 5-time national champion to say.
Yeah, well, that's the way I feel right now. I'll tell you, things are getting too tough, and I just don't know what's going to happen. But I'd sure like to thank all my sponsors that have brought us this far to win all these meets. And Once Hot Wheels, Goodyear, Coca-Cola, you know.
Don, I've never seen you so fatigued as you were before you started this final.
Yeah, it's been a long tour. We just ended up, this is our last date, and we're on our way home, and we've had 2 cars, a funny car, a Hot Wheel car we've been running, and it's just really been a strain on us, really.
You've got to be one of the toughest critters I've ever seen.
Well, thank you very much. I'm just very happy tying Gartlett's mark now that I won 5 national events, and that makes me just super happy.
6:45, Don's a great final run. You're a fine sportsman. Go get some rest.
Thank you very much.
And thus the NHRA Nationals come to a close at Raceway Park. An incredible chapter in the growth of this sport. Incredible that Jim Nicol should survive the accident we saw and be making plans right now to attend the victory banquet. Record speed, record money, record crowd at the NHRA Nationals. The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Roone Arledge. Coordinating producer, Jim Spence. National Drag Racing produced by Bryce Weissman. Directed by Bernie Hoffman. World Cup Skiing produced by Doug Wilson. Directed by Robert Rieger. Remember, coming up next here on ABC, except for those of you on the West Coast, the East-West College All-Star Football Game. And next Saturday here on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the 25th Annual Hula Bowl Football Classic, live and in color via satellite from Honolulu, beginning at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And now this is Keith Jackson saying so long from Indianapolis, Indiana. Today's program pre-recorded.